All right, guys, we've got a response here. I want to say I'm going live on this YouTube video, so uh, if you're wanting to talk about it, here's the situation. We have response coming up here from around the world from last night's attack by the United States on Syria, and here's some of the information we're getting. Just minutes ago, the reports came in. American military strike hits the air base, of course, in Syria last night in retaliation for what U.S. President Donald Trump called a horrible chemical weapons attack there in Syria. Now, reports are starting to come in. Here's what we have. First of all, the United Nations Security Council has called a meeting for 4:30 p.m. UK time to discuss the U.S. strikes in Syria. So I'll have to find out. That would be, more like about 9:30. That's about right now. They should be joining in about right now, pretty close to now, within the hour. Also, the Free Syrian Army has released a statement welcoming the U.S. airstrike in Syria, but have warned that the U.S. responsibility is still big and does not end with this operation. The rebel group said it was afraid of acts of revenge against civilians by Assad and his allies, and said military operations targeting the air bases banned weapons should continue. Now, I'm reading some reports here. Now, 48 minutes ago, there has been more support for Trump's airstrike in Syria, this time from Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the King of Jordan. Matter of fact, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in a statement that Canada fully supports the United States' limited and focused action to degrade the Assad regime's ability to launch chemical weapons attacks against innocent civilians, including many children. President Assad's use of chemical weapons and the crimes the Syrian regime has committed against its own people cannot be ignored. The Jordanian state news agency Petra reported that the Jordanian administration and the U.S. missile strike was necessary and appropriate. Now, that's what's coming from the backing of the Canadians and the Jordanian king. Also, we have information coming to us that the President Assad of Syria, his office, is calling for a U.S. strike, calls the U.S. strike last night reckless and irresponsible. Matter of fact, the office of the Syrian president has called the U.S. strike against one of its air bases in central Homs reckless and irresponsible. The statement today said the strikes were short-sighted and reflect a continuation of policy regardless of which administration, that is based on targeting and subjugating the people. It added that the dawn attack was not based on facts. And also another update, the Syrian president says the U.S. strikes were foolish and irresponsible. Now, we also are getting information from Russia. Vladimir Putin has held a meeting of the Security Council this morning to discuss the Russian response. The participants expressed deep concern at the inevitable negative consequences of these aggressive actions for the joint efforts to fight terrorism. And the spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the Security Council also expressed regret at the harm that the strike would do to the U.S.-Russian relationship, and they discussed ways to continue the Russian Air Force operation in Syria to give support to Assad's army. So now we're seeing the battleground. The battle lines are being drawn clearly now. They've always been there, folks. It's been a proxy war in Syria for 5 years. It's been a proxy war. Obama created this mess with his Arab Spring. Russia stepped in and said, that's enough. No more leaders are going to fall. After Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, and Yemen, that Obama and Hillary Clinton were so successful in getting to be taken out of the way. Matter of fact, Egypt ended up losing 2 presidents during all this, and so has Yemen lost 2 governments during all of this. So what you have here is a situation where it's confusing. I understand Trump's upset at the gassing of the children. Everybody's upset about this, and it's not the first time. This is the 3rd or 4th time in the last 5 years that we've seen children and we've seen innocent civilians brutally and mercilessly killed by sarin gas and chemical weapons. The question is, what is the long-term effect? Was this just Trump sending a message to Assad and anyone else in the region? If you use this kind of chemicals, we will bomb where it came from? Or does this fully draw the battlefields now, moves the war from a proxy war between the United States and Russia to a actual face-to-face war? Now, we know that Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, was in the UN yesterday and had a heated exchange with the diplomats of Russia. And I mean heated. So what will Putin do? What will Putin say? What will the Chinese do? What will they say? As they were sitting at the table, Chinese President Xi Jinping was sitting right there, witnessing the power of the United States presidency and its ability to use its force when necessary or when at will. And so now we have to wait and see, what does this all mean? Now, I'm going to be interviewed. Heidi, am I going to be live with Stephen Ben-Nun or taped? Okay, I'm going to be taped in a few minutes. I'm going to actually be on Stephen Ben-Nun's broadcast. He's going to tape me. He's going to interview me on this subject, and I'm stunned at the developments, and I'm really concerned at where we go from here, because folks, we're on the brink of World War III, and I mean, you can start tossing around Gog and Magog conversation, or you can be looking at Psalms 83, and Israel knows ultimately they are the target of any U.S. action. And so we are getting word that the Israeli Defense Forces are on high alert. So Rabbi Stephen Ben-Nun is a good man. Thank you, sir. He really is. And he lives in the Czech Republic, so he's going to have a real strong perspective of the Russian media, because he hears it every day, and his wife speaks the Russian language as well. She speaks 5 languages, so she's able to help him decipher what they're saying and the flavor in which they're saying it. So we're going to, I'm hearing the U.S. media every moment. He's hearing the Russian media. And so it will be a very, very healthy conversation to find out, where do we go from here, and where is this leading? Does Russia just say, okay, we got you, President Trump, you're upset about what happened, so are we, but we got to work together. ISIS is still the common enemy. We got to crush ISIS, and we got to work together. Let's not have any confusion in the air. Let's not have any of our planes confronting each other, or let's not attack, either one of our troops. Where are your troops? Where are our troops? Or does Russia just take a different position? Nothing. Say nothing and move forward with a different strategy. See, there's a lot on the table here now. And so we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out. Great to see all of you guys at YouTube Live. I know this is spontaneous, and there's 860 of you here right now. But I think what we have here is a very critical situation. And so I'm going to do that interview with Stephen Ben-Nun. You can look for that interview to show up later today. I will be live a little bit later, of course, as always, 12 noon Eastern, to get you up to speed on all the current world events, and things may be shifting right under my feet. I'm here in Rockford, Illinois for the Prophecy Conference here with Rabbi Leora Rosenberg, and also L.A. Marzulli is here. Sister Heidi speaking in this one as well, and so is Bob Barber and myself, and so it should be a good conference this weekend. So anyway, we'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. God bless all of you. Pray for our young men and women, because the bigger problem is North Korea. And that's another whole subject, because that's the bigger problem, really, quite honest with you. Pray for Israel, the peace of Jerusalem, because the Arabs may rise up in the region, all right? I'll be back with more in just a moment. Are you serious? Something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ.